Let's be honest from the beginning. Women are not the unfathomable mystery many believe them to be. When you begin to understand the psychology behind their emotions, choices, and desires, a deeper reality emerges. A woman's lasting fascination with you does not depend on appearance, wealth, or playing the role of the overly agreeable man. It comes from understanding how her mind responds on a subconscious level. That is what we are going to uncover here. Welcome back. Today we are stepping into one of the most debated and revealing subjects in modern relationships, the psychology that makes a woman deeply drawn to you. This is not about casual attraction or mild interest. It is about the kind of emotional intensity where you remain present in her thoughts again and again. Such a shift changes the balance of the connection and places you in a position of genuine influence. It is important to be clear. This is not manipulation. It is awareness. It is the ability to recognize subtle psychological triggers that most men overlook and that many women are not fully conscious of themselves. These responses occur beneath the surface, but once you see them, you can navigate them with clarity. What follows are 7 psychological principles that speak directly to a woman's emotional core. These are not shallow tricks or empty rehearsed lines. They are patterns of behavior, emotional signals, and changes in perspective that transform how she perceives you. When this shift happens, she begins to long for your presence, place value on your words, and even idealize who you are. Far too many men spend their lives pursuing women who never truly notice them. With these insights, you will not be one of them. You will grasp the real forces that create obsession and, more importantly, how to awaken them naturally. Once you understand and apply these 7 principles, both your view of women and of yourself will never be the same. Principle 1. Do not focus on her beauty, recognize her mind. Most men fall into a predictable trap. They meet an attractive woman and rush to say things like, "You're so beautiful," or "You're the most gorgeous woman I've ever met." Although this sounds flattering, it rarely leaves an impression. Attractive women hear these comments constantly, and they learn to tune them out. By starting this way, you instantly blend in with the countless men who offer the same validation. She already knows how she looks, and your words simply confirm what she has heard 1,000 times before. If you want her to remember you and find herself thinking about you later, the key is different. Do not highlight the obvious. Instead, acknowledge her intelligence, her perspective, or the way she processes the world. Women are rarely seen beyond their appearance. Most men are so captivated by physical beauty that they miss the sharpness of her thoughts, her humor, or her insight. This is where you stand apart. Imagine you are speaking with a woman who shares an unusual observation about a book, a project, or even life itself. You meet her gaze and say, "That's an uncommon way of looking at it." You notice details most people overlook, and that's rare. This type of recognition is powerful because it affirms her individuality, something deeper than surface-level admiration. It shows her that you see what others miss. That distinction creates intrigue, and intrigue leads to fascination. What happens next is what psychologists sometimes call a value reversal. The dynamic shifts. Instead of you appearing fortunate just to be in her presence, she begins to feel fortunate that you noticed her in a meaningful way. That reversal is magnetic because it positions you as someone she must earn, not just someone who admires her. And here is the most striking part. The fewer comments you make about her appearance, the more weight your words carry when you finally do. If, after connecting with her on a deeper level, you casually remark, "By the way, you are stunning," the impact is far stronger. It feels sincere, not automatic. The secret is simple. Do not compliment what the entire world can already see. Compliment what is hidden, the part of her identity that longs to be recognized. That is where true obsession takes root. Principle 2. Step back when she wants you closer. This move unsettles a woman in ways she cannot easily explain, because it flips the script that most men follow. When a woman begins showing more attention, sending frequent texts, calling often, or becoming a little clingy, the average man thinks, she's mine now. I just need to keep up with her energy. So he responds with even more effort, more messages, more time together. Ironically, that is the very moment he should resist leaning in. Here is the hard truth. Women rarely become obsessed with men who are always available. Obsession grows in the presence of emotional tension. The simplest way to spark that tension is to hold back slightly when she moves closer. This does not mean disappearing or playing cruel games. It means being just a touch less available than she wishes. A few unanswered texts, a small delay in confirming plans, or a quiet pause when she expects a response can stir her imagination far more than constant reassurance ever. Why does this work? Because women, like all humans, are drawn to emotional variety. Predictability drains excitement. If she knows with certainty that you will always be there, attraction begins to fade. But if she feels she almost has you, yet not fully, her mind starts turning. Questions arise. Is he losing interest? Did I do something wrong? Why do I keep thinking about him? And in that moment, you are firmly in her thoughts. Most men hesitate to pull back when things are going smoothly. But that hesitation is exactly why this principle has such power. By maintaining your own life, your own priorities, and showing that you value her without clinging to her, you embody qualities that are rare: self-sufficiency, options, and emotional balance. You are a man who enjoys her presence but does not depend on it. That kind of energy draws her in. It does not mean you should be cold, dismissive, or cruel. It simply means you set the rhythm of the connection rather than reacting to hers. You do not need to validate every mood or reply instantly to every message. You preserve a touch of mystery which keeps her pursuing. And here lies the most powerful effect. When you do offer affection, it carries more meaning. It is not a plea for attention, but a genuine expression, freely given. She feels it as rare, valuable, and real. Pulling away when she leans in creates a gravitational pull. She moves closer, eager to bridge the gap and capture your focus again. That is when obsession quietly takes root. Principle 3. Introduce subtle jealousy. This subject makes many men uncomfortable because jealousy is often labeled as toxic, manipulative, or immature. Yet when applied with subtlety and confidence, it becomes one of the strongest emotional triggers available. Jealousy, in this sense, is not about creating pain or insecurity. It is about sending a quiet signal that you are desirable, that your value is recognized by others, and that you are not waiting passively for her validation. The mistake most men make is immediate. Once they gain a woman's attention, they drop everything else in their lives. They stop interacting socially, especially with other women, and devote all of their focus to her. The result is predictable. Attraction fades because she no longer sees competition or demand for your attention. Without that, her own interest begins to waver. The truth is that women are wired to notice and compete for men who are seen as desirable by others. If she senses no one else finds you attractive, she may question her own feelings. But when she perceives, even faintly, that other women are drawn to you, her focus sharpens. This does not mean flirting openly with others or boasting about your social life. That would look needy and transparent. Instead, the key is to project confidence and social presence without trying to prove anything. An easy charm, a relaxed attitude, and a life that involves others naturally communicates that you are valued beyond her opinion. When she feels even a hint of jealousy, two things happen almost instantly. First, she becomes motivated to secure your attention. Second, you occupy her thoughts more than she wants to admit. This subtle disruption pushes her out of comfort and into emotional investment. A woman who feels she must earn your attention engages far more deeply than one who believes she has it by default. The risk lies in overdoing it. Exaggerated attempts to provoke jealousy come across as insecure and manipulative. But when it arises naturally from your confidence and social value, the effect is powerful. She no longer takes you for granted. Instead, she begins to compete for your time and presence. A touch of jealousy is enough to stir strong emotion, and strong emotion fuels obsession. Remain composed, remain confident, and let her sense that you are not bound to her alone. Once she realizes she could lose you, she will invest more of herself to keep you close. Principle 4. Carry yourself as if you could walk away at any moment. There is immense strength in a man who does not cling, who is unafraid of losing a woman because he knows he will never lose himself. This mindset instantly separates you from the vast majority of men. Most men, after receiving a little affection, a kind word, or some intimacy, behave as though the relationship has become their entire world. They begin to cling, overanalyze every exchange, and bend over backwards to please her. Without noticing, they give away all of their power. Women do not become obsessed with men who act as if they cannot exist without them. What draws them in is a man who remains centered, composed, and unshaken by the idea of walking away. That level of confidence makes her stop and reevaluate. You are not reacting to her mood, you are setting the tone. You are not anxiously trying to secure a future, you are deciding whether she is worthy of being in yours. By showing that you could leave if the connection no longer aligns, you communicate something profound. You are not emotionally dependent. You are not there to beg for affection or validation. You are there because she enriches your life, and if that ceases, you are prepared to move on. That attitude is magnetic. It is not coldness, but a challenge that compels her to invest more deeply. It stirs her curiosity and makes her wonder how to keep your attention, which is precisely where obsession begins. In this role, you are no longer predictable or emotionally at her disposal. You become the challenge, the man who does not give away his commitment simply because she offers interest. This mystery awakens her drive to prove herself. Most women are accustomed to men who fear losing them, men who overplease and avoid conflict. By refusing to play that role, by showing that you will not tolerate half-hearted effort or emotional games, you stand apart. She sees you differently. She respects you, thinks of you even when you are absent, and seeks the rare feeling you create. Your willingness to walk away is not a threat, it is a standard. It carries the unspoken message, I want you, but I do not need you. And once she feels that truth, she leans in, invests more, and becomes emotionally anchored. What she truly desires is not a man who disappears into her world, but one whose strength invites her into his. Principle 5. Stay unpredictable. Never let her believe she has you fully figured out. There is real danger in being too consistent with a woman. Predictability makes you easy to read, and once she feels she understands everything about you, the spark begins to fade. That original sense of mystery vanishes. Why? Because people are fascinated by what they cannot completely grasp, and women are no different. Controlled unpredictability keeps you in her thoughts, creates emotional tension, and stirs her curiosity. She begins asking herself, what is he going to do next? What is on his mind? Why does he feel different today? That curiosity quickly transforms into obsession. This does not mean you play games or abandon your core values. It means you avoid becoming mechanical in your words and actions. If you always reply immediately, vary your timing. If your compliments sound the same every time, stop repeating them. If you are always the one to initiate plans, let her wonder whether you will reach out this time. These small shifts keep her emotionally alert. Picture this. You'll normally speak with her in a thoughtful, serious tone. Then one evening, you switch gears. You become playful, tease her lightly, or make an unexpected remark that makes her laugh. It might seem like a small change, but it leaves an imprint. She goes to bed thinking about it, not because it was monumental, but because it broke her pattern of expectation. Women are naturally drawn to emotional variety. If they can anticipate your every move, they lose interest. But when unpredictability is combined with confidence, self-awareness, and calm energy, you become unforgettable. You activate something deep in the female psyche, a link between mystery and value. So do not be the man who is predictable in every word, reaction, and gesture. Be the man who is steady in confidence, but unpredictable in presence. When she cannot fully define you, her mind fills the gaps with imagination. She starts picturing scenarios, replaying moments, and chasing the unknown parts of you. And once she begins thinking of you in this way, letting go becomes nearly impossible. Principle 6. Awaken her competitive side with other women. Whether they acknowledge it openly or not, most women feel a natural sense of competition when it comes to a man they desire. On the surface she may appear calm, but when she notices other women drawn to you, laughing at your words, or seeking your presence, something shifts. Your value rises, not because you are pushing her away, but because now she feels there is something worth protecting and striving for. Many men make the mistake of narrowing their entire focus as soon as they meet a woman they like. They cut off other connections and act as if she is the only person who matters. While this may seem loyal, it often backfires. It removes the sense of challenge. She feels she has already secured your full attention without any effort. Attraction fades because there is nothing left for her to win. But when she observes that other women genuinely enjoy your presence, find you interesting, or want to be near you, it triggers something very different. The situation becomes about status and self-worth. She begins to ask herself, am I the one he truly values? Do I stand out from the rest? Women dislike feeling replaceable, especially when they are emotionally invested. Knowing that you have real options makes her instinctively raise her effort. This does not mean flaunting other women or trying to provoke jealousy in an obvious way. That would come across as insecure. Instead, it is about living fully, being socially aware, carrying yourself with confidence, and naturally drawing attention. When she sees this, her mindset changes. She becomes more observant, more engaged, and more protective of the connection. She listens more carefully, pays closer attention to your reactions, and stops assuming you will always be there waiting. At this point, the dynamic transforms. You are no longer just another man hoping to be chosen. You become the prize she wants to secure, the man she wants to keep away from others. That quiet sense of competition heightens her emotional investment and makes her far more committed. Here is the subtle truth most men overlook. The instant a woman realizes that other women desire you, your value in her mind multiplies. You have not changed, but her perception of you has. You are no longer just a man who likes her. You are a man who is liked by others as well. And if others want you, then you must be even more valuable than she first believed. By tapping into this competitive instinct, you awaken something ancient and powerful. She wants to prove herself, to stand apart, and to claim her place by your side. And once she enters this mindset, leaving becomes far more difficult. That is when obsession begins to take root. Principle 7. Offer your attention, then withdraw it. Too many men are starved for connection, and it shows. The moment a woman gives them a little interest, they rush to flood her with validation, compliments, and time, as if they must never let the flow stop. Although the intention may be sincere, the result is the opposite of what they want. Constant attention with no contrast is the fastest way to smother attraction. Without space, without silence, there is no room for her to miss you, reflect on you, or truly value what you give. Most men have been conditioned to always be available, endlessly kind, and quick to respond. While kindness matters, being predictable, emotionally needy, and permanently accessible drains desire. Continuous attention becomes background noise. It no longer excites her. It no longer creates emotion. It simply blends into routine. What fuels obsession is contrast, the shift between closeness and distance. It is the thrill of connection, followed by the tension of absence. That gap makes her wonder, replay moments in her mind, and look forward to your return. Yet most men never allow her that chance. They text first every time, initiate plans endlessly, and fill every silence out of fear that pulling back will cost them the relationship. Ironically, this fear ensures the loss. She drifts not because they made a single mistake, but because they never gave her the space to chase. The truth is simple. You must not fear withdrawing. Do not let her moods dictate every move you make. You are not chained to her reactions. You are the one shaping the emotional rhythm. That means giving her moments of genuine connection, then stepping away to live your own life. In that quiet space, her mind begins to work. She checks her phone, replays your words, and feels the void you left. That craving draws her back to you with more intensity than constant attention ever could. Attention only has value when it is scarce, earned, and felt as a gift. If you pour it endlessly, it loses all meaning. When you give her attention sparingly, on your own terms, she experiences it as something rare and significant. That is what makes her pursue you, so stop overgiving. Stop fearing silence. Stop mistaking constant reassurance for love. Give, then take away. Allow her to feel the emptiness of your absence. Let her come to you. When she starts seeking your energy, you are no longer just someone she enjoys. You become the person she cannot get out of her head. Here is the reality many avoid. Women do not fall hardest for the man who gives them everything. They fall for the man who feels just out of reach. Obsession thrives not on certainty, but on tension, mystery, and the delicate balance between gain and loss. And let this be clear, this is not about manipulation. It is about understanding the psychology of attraction that most men ignore. You may have been taught to approach with love, but rarely taught how to lead with strength. That is why many men are ghosted or left waiting. They are too easy to predict. Principle 8. Reward her with silence. Silence is more than the absence of words, is presence, strength, and one of the most powerful tools a man can use when applied with intention. Most men collapse in silence. The moment a woman goes quiet, pulls back, or replies briefly, they panic. They send another text, explain themselves, or beg for her attention. That desperation strips them of power. The grounded man, however, does not flinch. He does not chase to fill the void. He lets the silence breathe, and that choice alone separates him from the rest. Here's the key. This is not the silent treatment. That's immature, manipulative, and reactive. Instead, this is selective silencer, deliberate pause that communicates, I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to rush. I stand on something deeper than this moment. When used after a strong presence, silence becomes magnetic. Imagine this. You've been fully engaged, warm, attentive, authentic. She's felt your energy. Then suddenly, you go quiet. The contrast hits hard, like thunder after lightning. Your absence has weight precisely because your presence had meaning. She feels it. She notices. She leans in. This is why silence is ineffective for men who are distant from the start. If you haven't created connection, your silence means nothing. But if you've given her a taste of depth, then step back, the echo lingers. She begins to crave your return. And here's the subtle art. When she reaches out, don't rush to fill the gap. Don't scramble for approval. Let the silence work. By doing so, you teach her that your attention is valuable, not cheap, not constant, not on demand. It's something she must earn. Think about the world we live in today. Everyone is talking. Posting, shouting for attention. The man who can remain still, calm, and unmoved is rare. And what's rare is desired. This is Stoicism in action. Your silence is not uncertainty. It is composure. Not punishment, but power. Not withdrawal, but clarity. You're not stepping back to hurt her, you're stepping back to ground yourself. And here's the paradox. When she realizes she cannot command your attention, she values it more deeply when she has it. Silence makes your presence precious. So, if you've ever been the man who overtalks or tries to solve everything with words, here's your shift. Say less, hold steady, and let your silence speak. It will do more for you than 1,000 explanations ever could. Type in the comments, my silence has weight. And if you're beginning to see that attraction is not about tricks, but about becoming a man whose presence is undeniable, subscribe now. Because what comes next will show you how to bend the rules without losing yourself. Stay silent. Stay sharp. Principle 9. Gently break her patterns. Every woman operates within patterns, emotional scripts she's run through countless times. These scripts dictate how she receives attention, how men respond to her, and how connections typically unfold. Most men walk right into those patterns, play their part, and fade into the background of her memory. Forgettable, but the man who gently disrupts those scripts, not aggressively, but with subtle, intentional redirection, is the one who lingers in her mind. Why? Because you didn't play along. You broke the pattern. You gave her something unexpected, and that tension between the familiar and the unfamiliar is where obsession begins. Think about it. She posts a photo online. Hundreds of likes. Dozens of comments. predictable dopamine. She expects you to be one more digital fanboy, but you don't play the game. Maybe you ignore the post entirely. Maybe you mention something deeper about her that no one else noticed. In that moment, she's forced to ask, why is he different? That question is the spark. The key here is subtlety. Breaking patterns doesn't mean rejecting her or being contrarian just for attention. That's predictable in its own way. Real power comes from calmly refusing to be pulled into her emotional scripts. If she withdraws to test you, most men chase. You don't. You smile, stay centered, maybe even tease. Cute, was that a test? Then move on. If she flirts with other men in front of you, most men get defensive. You don't. You stay grounded, unbothered, and even amused. If she makes a passive-aggressive remark, most men react emotionally. You don't. You acknowledge it calmly, or let silence speak. Suddenly, her playbook doesn't work. You've stepped out of the frame she's used to controlling, and that unsettles her in the best way possible. People are fascinated by what they can't categorize. This isn't about dominance. It's not about breaking her down or proving you're above her. It's about presence, a rare kind of calm leadership that shows her you don't need to overpower her because you operate by different rules. That alone is magnetic. Start small. Compliment her when she least expects it. Be silent when she wants a reaction. Be steady when she tries to create chaos. Each move communicates, I lead the energy, not you. And whether she admits it or not, she feels it. When you break her patterns gently, you stop being a character in her script. You become the director. And once she feels that shift, she'll never experience you as just another guy again. If this resonates with you, type I rewrite the frame in the comments. And if you're still here, it means you already know you weren't meant to be average. Subscribe now, because in the next part of this series, I'll show you how to build an emotional presence so powerful, she won't even realize she's falling until it's already too late. Principle 10. Stay emotionally untouchable. This is the dividing line between men who are unforgettable and those who fade into memory. Emotional untouchability. And let's get this straight, it's not about being cold, distant, or pretending you don't care. That's weakness disguised as strength. True power is quiet. It's the ability to remain centered, calm, collected, unmoved no matter what storm she stirs around you. Most men fail here. They ride an emotional roller coaster, high when she's sweet, low when she's distant, anxious when she's cold, euphoric when she shows affection again, predictable. Women know this, and many will test for it. Why? To see if you're steady or if you're just another puppet reacting to her every mood. When you're emotionally untouchable, the game flips. She flirts, you smile. Grounded, she pulls away. You remain steady. She throws a passive-aggressive jab, you see it. Acknowledge it and refuse to engage. That calmness, it's magnetic. Not because you're aloof, but because you're anchored. You've mastered your inner state. You don't need her reactions to feel whole. And that makes her curious, fascinated, even a little unsettled, in the best way. Here's the secret. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about mastering them. You are not your feelings. You are the one observing them. And once you stop letting external triggers dictate your behavior, you become rare, unforgettable. So how do you build this? Pause before reacting. The moment you feel the urge to reply, explain, or defend, stillness first. detach your worth. Her praise doesn't inflate you. Her criticism doesn't deflate you. You remain the same man. Anchor yourself deeper. Base your identity on your mission, your discipline, your values. Not her attention, not her validation. Do this, and watch what happens. Instead of chasing clarity from her, you carry clarity within yourself. Instead of needing her to stabilize you, you stabilize her just by existing. That's the kind of presence women crave, not drama, not chaos, but a calm that makes them feel safe yet intrigued when you're emotionally untouchable. Obsession doesn't come from what you give. It comes from what she can't take away. She can't sway you, rattle you, or throw you off center. And that realization makes her lean in harder than anything you could ever say. So if this resonated, write this in the comments. My emotions serve me, because that's the truth. A man who commands himself commands the room. Now you have 10 psychological shifts that don't just make you more attractive, they make you unshakable. But here's the truth most men never realize. These aren't tricks, they're not games, they're transformations. This is about becoming a man who doesn't need tactics to feel powerful. Because power isn't something you chase, power is something you embody. Every moment you remain silent when others panic. Every pattern you break without aggression. Every time you stay grounded while the world or a woman tries to pull you off center. You are doing more than attracting attention. You are shaping yourself into a man who commands respect without ever raising his voice. If even one principle in this video hit you hard, if one line made you stop and think, then you already know what comes next. Subscribe, not just for daily content, but because this is more than a channel that's a movement. A community for men who are done performing, done pleading, done bending. This is for men who are ready to lead their own lives with strength, clarity, and presence. Thank you for your time. I see you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Stay grounded, stay sharp,